Hello, everyone. Live. We know it was kind of short notice, so thank you for being here. We do have a small group today, since it's just really mitten focused and specific for the mitten purchasing group. So if you have any questions or need us to talk, the Zoom is set up on a webinar to be like no talking, but just raise your hand or put something in the chat and I'll unmute you or allow you to speak kind of thing. They should never give me that much power, right? So anyways, hello everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. We are going to talk a little bit about last year, what's coming up this year, and lots of fun stuff. I wanted to take this time to those of you who have been with Mitten for a while have probably seen me and know me through some of our previous trainings and or webinars, either through just the Mitten purchasing group, MPPOA, or Bidnet Direct by SOVRA as a whole. But I wanted to introduce you to Lauren Parish, who just joined our team this year in earlier in January. So hi, Lauren. If you want to say a couple of words and say hello, Lauren is going to be your person to talk to and reach out to if you're looking to say, what else can I do on Bidnet Direct? Where can I go? I need to modernize this procurement, want to add a bid evaluation or contract lifecycle management, or see what else is available. Lauren is your person. You are still going to be talking with buyer support, our fantastic Jennifer, Shinell, Liz, Keely, Jeanette, that entire buyer support team for anything that you may need help with courtesy email or attaching some documents or you have some kind of issue. So anyways, just wanted to let you guys know that. So Lauren, now I promise now I'll shut up and let you introduce yourself.
No, you are all good. Well, I'd say good morning, but good afternoon now, everybody in Michigan. As Kim mentioned, my name is Lauren. I'm a little bit on the newer team with SOVRA, but been in the public procurement space for about two years now. So very familiar with Mitten and super excited to be working with your organization. As you're probably going to see throughout this webinar, we have a pretty exciting roadmap, and Kim's going to share some of our special tips and tricks within SOVRA. But like she mentioned, especially with this exciting roadmap we have in 2025 and then leading into 2026, please feel free to reach out to me, whether that's by call, text, email. My contact information is to be available to you, and I am here to be a resource for you guys. So looking forward to getting to hopefully meet more of you over the year and as years to come, but know that I am a resource here for you and super excited for you all to get to learn a little bit more about what's in store for SOFR this year.
Great, thank you. And I'll send this deck if anyone needs it for contact information. I also put our vendor support number there, always great. Many of you probably, if you get any calls from vendors with questions about registration, kind of already send them over. But just in case you don't know that, our vendor support team is fantastic as well. And now we have this brand new online chat that is available to all registered vendors and to you all as buying organization members. So hopefully you're using that as well. So I want to kind of recap on some recent platform updates and tell you about what we've done over the past year, and then look forward to now, to 2025, and some really great things that have just happened or are right around the corner. And as Lauren says, some exciting updates that we have coming from the technology and roadmap front. And then I was wanted to do some quick demos, but let me just preface this by saying I had a little learn environment snag right before this meeting. So we have like you log into Bidnet Direct yourself. I didn't want to log into the live site, and I wanted to use what we call our learn environment, which is when we have new agencies who join or someone who needs access to be able to play around with how everything works, how they use it. I got kicked out of that this morning by a failed login attempt. So we'll see if it's coming up. If not, I have screenshots prepared that I was able to get before, so I'll walk you through in a screenshot way. But you can either book a meeting if there's anything that you're like, hey, I really want to learn more about this predefined documents or anything like that. We can get you that training as well if needed. All right. So let's talk about MITN itself. Oh, let's go back in time. So there's over 29,000 registered suppliers now that are registered and looking to do business within the state of Michigan. That doesn't mean that they're all located in Michigan, but a good number of them are. And we have 325 local governments and school districts. So that's counties, cities, villages, school districts from all throughout the state. In 2024, so last year, all of our participating agencies issued 6,800, just over 6,800 formal solicitations. And there's 58% of those solicitations that were issued, both formal and informal, that were accepting electronic responses. I hope that number goes up. If you are one of the people who are not allowing for accepting electronic responses, just some quick feedback from our vendor community. We did a survey a couple of times over the past year on some of the reasons that vendors may not be actually responding to solicitations. And about 10% of the vendors surveyed said if there's not an electronic option there for them to respond electronically, they pass. It's just not worth it. So the electronic bid submission, all of the vendors are used to. It also adds about 24 hours or more time to their response period, being able to supply that electronically through the system. So just letting you know that. It's also fantastic for you to be able to have everything there. And eventually, if you're ready, to be able to tie it to the evaluation or the contract, and everything's just held electronically and easily accessible to all of your other team members. And we had every month about 1,900 responses that were submitted through the system in those electronic bid responses. So that's again, really exciting and great that our vendors are able to, for the 58% of you using it, able to do that. All right, so let's talk about what happened last year. Some of you are going to see this and be like, okay, I know. But every time I talk to someone and every time I'm back up in Michigan, someone doesn't know. So I'm going to be shouting this through the roof or on top of the rooftop as much as I can, which is now the notification is free for all of your vendors. So as of April 10th, 2024, we got rid of the group notification payment aspect. If you remembered, it was $108 per year that suppliers had an option to get to pay to be notified of matching opportunities. There was still that free access that they could register for free and search for that opportunity up until for no charge. But as of April 10th, now any registered vendor can register for free and be notified of matching solicitations that match their business opportunities from you, our participating buying organizations. So it's really reduced that cost as a barrier for some of those small businesses that maybe just couldn't afford that $108, or they only received, one or two opportunities because it was such a niche area and they didn't feel like it was worth it for them. So the number and the volume of notifications that are going out has risen tremendously. And the activity from suppliers has risen as well. And so keep that in mind. I'm going to focus on this great news, but keep that in mind when I talk about some of the things from a technology standpoint that we had to do last year because of that increase of activity, etc. So Just as a reminder, there is no more, this is no longer an option now. This is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. There are still options for suppliers to expand if they want access to more solicitations from our content team of solicitations that are not being issued by the 325 agencies, or federal opportunities as well. So notifications now by participating agencies, any associated addenda, awards, and communication, um, those are being received now to those matching suppliers for no cost. And another new little feature is that those free accounts are now able to add unlimited salespeople. So this is going to be really helpful over time, that now when you're looking and maybe adding suppliers via courtesy email or doing a vendor search for something that's under threshold for one of your departments, anything like that, you're going to see now, instead of having like 5 different free vendor accounts, you're going to see one with 5 different sales reps underneath them. And so that may take a little bit of time to get worked out, but because we do have that even free suppliers need to renew every year to make certain that their information is up to date, like their full vendor profile, their email address is current. We urge them to update anything with their profile at that point in time. That information should start becoming more and more to one organization with multiple sales people underneath it for your vendor community. So those people who were paying for that notification, that $108, we actually kind of bumped them up and said, thanks so much. Now, because we're offering it for free, now we're going to give you, because you already paid that $108, access to this other additional content within the states that you were paying for. And so we have given them more content and more opportunities for them to be able to bid on solicitations, whether from participating agencies like you all or from people who aren't using the MITN purchasing group yet. We also had some confusion from some vendors upon registration on a kind of value add of being able to put your logo and videos and your sell sheets and product descriptions and service descriptions up on your profile. This little standout advertising package was toggled on and you had to turn it off. But we've changed it. So now when vendors register for free, it is not turned on. It's turned off. They can still turn it on if they'd like to. I still think it's great value for them. However, it's not automatically turned on. So that was changed as well. Some other updates that happened last year, and there's a couple that I didn't put on here, so I'm going to start with those. One is that AI chat box that we launched that's available inside the system to not only you as a user, but also your vendor community. And so it's been really used. It's been able to allow our vendors much quicker response times. You know, we've always had great support, but sometimes when you have over 100,000 vendors calling, which we do from across the country have that, um, it can be a little bit of a wait time and you can't get to everyone as quickly as you'd like to. And so this chat has really opened up the door for much quicker turnarounds, and less people being able to have to call in to wait for someone when they can just get their answer right there online when they have a question. So that's been fantastic. A lot of the stuff that we've done has been this behind the scenes. So we've done some security updates for sure within our site, and also some technology updates to be able to handle now all of the new notifications. So think about it this way. Every time you launch and issue a new solicitation, if before you were contacting, let's say, 30 suppliers that were going to be notified. Now it's probably 150 because of those matching suppliers now that are free that get that notification. And so that's for every single solicitation that happens every single day. That's also for every single communication. That's for every single addenda, award information, etc. So that's related to that solicitation. So as you can see, we've had to also increase our size and technology to be able to handle all of those additional notifications and alerts so that we can ensure that suppliers are still receiving those in a timely manner as soon as you've posted them. We also, if you haven't noticed, have a new brand. So SOVRA is our new brand. It's now Bidnet Direct by SOVRA on the website. Nothing has changed dramatically and drastically with the colors on the website. But if you haven't already been to sovra.com, recommend, head on over, check it out because it talks about more of our complete source to contract solution and source to pay solution that we offer. So a lot of you know this, some of you may not. Over the past few years, we have grown and expanded. So we not only run and own Bidnet Direct, but also Merck's up in Canada, also vendor registry here in the United States, and Periscope in the United States. And so we are merging all of these into one brand, SOVRA, that can reach all of public procurement professionals, and nothing is happening to the actual platform itself. If you're utilizing Bidnet Direct, like you all are through the MITN purchasing group today, that is not changing anytime soon. You will still access that, but there are some fold-ins that are happening with some of our other platforms that are folding into Bidnet Direct over time. We also had some really cool accessibility changes. So there were some laws passed in certain states last year and some more coming out this year that needed to meet the visually impaired and accessibility standards. And so we have ensured we're, I think, 98 point something percent there that each page on Bidnet Direct meets those accessibility standards. And by this year, June 1st, I believe it is, we will be 100% accessible, and we'll be continuing to do so with every new release that we add. So if you have some kind of guidelines, or if you're working on a procurement that that has some kind of funding attached to it that needs to prove this is accessible to everyone, there is a link that has accessibility on each of our sites at the very bottom. There's that link that takes you to that page. And there's a place where you can request the VPAT to be able to see a breakdown and prove that accessibility. Or if not, you can just reach out to me and I'll send you the most recent VPAT that we have as well. This is today. Sorry, didn't take that slide out. We talked to some of the MITN membership on Friday as well. That was part of their monthly meeting for MITN. So sorry about that. Okay, now we're looking ahead to 2025. Some of you may have received this, but it's basically in your backyard, one state over, direct train ride from Detroit to the SOVRA Summit. So this is going to be a place that you get to see me and Lauren in person, along with some of our other team members, talk to our product team. They're going to go in a whole lot more detail on what's coming out, gain your feedback on what you need the site to be able to do for you and your needs and your upcoming policy changes that may be happening. So it's a great, great one-day free event. It's happening in Chicago on February 19th. So I did put a QR code here. Lauren, if you don't mind, if you can drop that registration link or the link in the chat too,
For sure.
for people to be able to click on. We'd love to see you there. It's free. So come join. And we'd love to see you. But if you are going to come, please register, because we're going to have to do the food ordering for the number of attendees who will be there for lunch, within the next couple of weeks. So hope you can make it. All right. So from a development standpoint, we have some immediate priorities that are going to be, driving customer value of what they really get out of utilizing our system. One of those is search capabilities, and not just searching through four different things, but utilizing that search and an AI accelerator for you to be able to find your own contracts and documents easier, for suppliers to be able to find more relevant information, not only by an IGP code, but by keywords that are really important to their business and the products and services that they offer. For you to be able um, to create, through the help of previously launched solicitations, a new solicitation document and framework for that. So those types of things in the search are what we're working on, as well as a full UX, stands for user experience, user experience strategy. Um, those of you who may be using our contract management solution or our RFX creation or requester intake, um, have probably noticed that there's a little bit of UX inconsistency between the products. And so we're really trying to streamline that, so that although you're all using the same place at different points in times, those were updated. And so we're really helping to streamline that, and also taking your feedback that you've given us throughout the different sessions that we've had up in Michigan and throughout the US with some of our other groups of users, things that would really be helpful to make a change in buttons, to not have those three dots that you have to like look at to go and figure out what to do, to have more of just like an add addenda button, and things like that are going to start coming into play, and you're going to be able to start getting involved in some of those decisions as well, and talking with our product team. For overall governments and suppliers, reporting is going to be huge coming up. So we are in the process of completely revamping the reporting. So right now, you do have access to a lot of information on a per solicitation basis, um, but we're looking at expanding that tremendously. So from your solicitations that you currently have, when you want to have a recap of entire month, a recap of a specific buyer, a recap of a specific industry or group or a supplier over time, those types of reports will be available. And not only available for you to download, but synced in so that you can have those some specific reports emailed to you every set period of time. So every month, they can even go to your board or whomever else you want, as far as a recap of, here's the number of formal solicitations we had, here's the number of responses that we had, etc. So it's going to be really cool to be able to utilize that. And we're also focused on integration. We have seen a lot more customers wanting to integrate with different other solution providers out there, whether it be their ERP that they currently have, or it be something like a partner like Procurated or B2G Now, etc. So although we can do integrations now, and we do, especially from our contracts portion or module back to your ERP, and we it takes some time. So we're working on an integration strategy to be able to do that more quickly, and also to open up the doors to more integrations with partners and others throughout the industry that our customers are telling us that they'd like to have integration and information sharing between. Some other piece of good news, and sorry, this is so fuzzy. I was doing this really quickly afterwards, but we have great news that just happened in 2025. We are now an AEP certified e-procurement platform. So if you all are involved in MPI's AEP awards, and you have gone through that process to 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 submit all of the information, showcasing your agency, your management team, your buyer team. Now, for the e-procurement portion of that, to show that you are forward thinking and utilizing everything, instead of going through the arduous process of screenshot and explaining what all you do for your solicitation process, for your vendor outreach process, for your evaluation process, etc. There's just a drop down for us. So it's super exciting as of 2025, and we're proud to be able to offer that to our existing customers. So I kind of talked about all of these things through the product roadmap. I went into a little more detail than I guess I was originally planning to on that last slide. It's pretty much the same thing. When I talk about that searching, that search capability, that enhanced smart document searching is going to be able to be used on both the buyer side and the supplier side for a lot of stuff. We're also, one thing I forgot to mention, and I'm sorry, working on a guided solicitation builder. So this will be really helpful for both you and your suppliers. So for you to be able to build that solicitation right in the system, but also for the suppliers to be able to answer everything right in the system as well. So it's going to be very nice for a lot of people, especially in your informals, I think, to be able to do all of that. All right. So any questions first? I know I've been talking a lot, and so I apologize, but I said at the beginning, and if you weren't here, you've joined since. I have, because of the webinar, we have everyone as like kind of listen only mode. But if you have a question, I think you can raise your hand, I believe. And if you can't, just write it in the chat and just say, I have a question or I want to talk, and I'll unmute you because we're all just Michigan mitten focused here. We're not this huge webinar with thousands of people. So if you have something, feel free to shout out at any point in time. All right. So with no questions, feel free to keep them coming. But if no questions, then I'm going to go into the quick demos here. So now, as I mentioned in the beginning, unfortunately, my Learn environment was giving me some issues. So I have screenshots luckily as a backup, but anything, I'm going to try again if we have time at the end to log in, but anything that you want a one-on-one more information about, or you want turned on, just let me know. Or our buyer support team, you probably have them on speed dial, which you can call them up and say, oh my gosh, Kim showed me this line item stuff. I can't find that in my account. Can you give it to me? And so we'll be able to do that. The things that I'm going to be showing, some of you, when you log in, may not have access to these, but we can easily give you access. So everything that I'm going to show you, really our buyer support team can just turn it on for you. It's just probably when you joined, the choice either A, it didn't exist then, or the choice was made that you all weren't ready for that yet, etc. So what you see on my screenshots, you may not see when you log into your account, but you can. So everything that I'm showing you now is in our sourcing package that you all have access to. And so just ask if you want it. All right. So the one first thing that is hard to show without a demonstration, but even so, it's so configurable that it's difficult to, is an approval workflow. So we have a few common solicitation creation workflows, and I've listed them here. But let's just say, for example, that you have a rule that an RFP that's over a certain dollar amount, so whether that's 100,000, a million, whatever that is, has to go on for a further approval process. We can set that up in the back end. Again, our buyer support team can do this for you to be able to set up those rules and alerts that based on threshold amount of that estimated contract value that you put in that vendors don't see, that has to be sent on to a manager or even a second level manager before it can be approved to be published and is distributed out. So this is really just like a second set of eyes. You can do it by any type, right? So you can have this setup shows that I have for any RFQ, any of my buyers, boom, it's approved already. They don't have to go through the process. It gets published and distributed. For anything that's a formal solicitation and that's 25,000 and under, a manager at least needs to take a look at it, make certain that the right documents are uploaded, make certain that everything looks right here, that we have the incumbent as part of the courtesy email, and then I can approve it and then it can go out for publish, or I can disapprove it and the buyer now has to make these changes and then it comes back to me for further approval, etc. So this is an example of a common solicitation workflow, but there's other things you can do too. So if you have a new buyer on your team, and you just really want them to have a second or third set of eyes on that information before they publish and distribute it out to the supplier community to be able to respond, you can also set this up by person. You can also say for anything formal, whether it's an ITB, RFP, whatever, I want this to happen. For anything informal, this can happen. So we can have all kinds of different workflows there, really based on your policies and what you feel like you may need some extra approval sets in there. So, Lauren, anything to add to this piece?
Not that I can think of top of mind now.
Okay. But again, if you want that, go back to your team, think about it. You're thinking of hiring some people or using another team to come in and help with some stuff, but you still want to see everything. That's the approval workflow is great. As a reminder, our solicitation process is completely configurable. So if there are things that you see like goods and services, construction, road, quick quote that you don't use. So let's say you don't do any construction or road work. You can just let us know and we can take those away from your view. If you have, if you don't see these and you do want them, we can add those to your account. And so the real difference here with the notice type is just there's some more commonly used um, like pieces of the solicitation details themselves that are in construction and road versus in goods and services. And then quick quote is meant for literally a very quick quote. We have a lot of customers who use this for those under threshold department spends, but that procurement really wants to be involved in to see the visibility and make sure it is transparent, and make certain that the same vendor isn't just always receiving everything. And so those quick quotes is a much shortened document, and solicitation setup. So you just answer a couple of questions there. And then also, if you don't see this by invitation, you may find a need for it. We have a lot of customers who utilize this. If they go out in a formal solicitation and they award, let's just say, 8 different vendors for on a rotating basis on an annual HVAC service and repair. And if I have, you know, 80 schools throughout the county that all have these different buildings, each of them with HVAC that's going to need repairs, maintenance, replacing, and maybe just too much for just 1 or 2 awardees. So these 8 awardees get those. So every time I have a specific, then solicitation that needs to go out to just those awarded contractors, I can use this by invite solicitation and only send out to that group of awardees. So that's just one way that sometimes people use that by invitation. And so I'm sharing this stuff with you because you may or may not see it in your system. And if you want to have a look at not only these things, but what else is open that may fit into uh, your processes that you currently have, we'd be happy to take you through that. And then the same thing for the solicitation types here. Depending, everybody uses different acronyms. I think some are pretty standard, but we constantly see a new one being added at basically every release because someone comes up with a new one. And so if there are either too many of these because you only use RFI, RFP, and ITB, that's it, that's all you'll ever use, then we can get rid of all the rest. If wow, I didn't know that you had more than this because this is just a fraction of them shown here. We have literally probably 100. And you want to see, are there other ones here? Because it would be really helpful to utilize that. Then just give us a call. All right, next step here. This is just, oh, okay. So there, obviously this is all stuff that you're probably used to seeing here. The one thing I wanted to show is the display document takers list. Some people have that as mandatory. Some people don't. They allow the buyer uh, to decide whether they're going to do this. I always say, even for non-construction, unless it's somewhere in your policy that you don't want that, like do it because it's great for your vendors. It's great for those teaming opportunities and partnering opportunities that they have to be able to see who else is interested in this. Especially those smaller suppliers, it's great for them to see the large primes, and not just in construction and software and consulting and just about everything out there. There's some course of sub and prime that goes on. And so it's great for those people to be able to team up and connect. And it's also really great for our buyers from what we've heard. So now if anyone calls looking for, well, where's the bidders list? Where's the plan holders list? Where's the document list? You can just say, well, it's located on Bidnet. Go back and look there at the solicitation, and it's right there viewable for everybody to see. There are little things like acknowledgement required that you're able to put into your solicitation. Right now, again, it may not show up. It is optional. Sometimes you can have it pre-selected to be required. But this just means that I need to know um, and give approval from the suppliers that they're acknowledging this message or this document or whatever it is when they take an action. So that action can be when they're viewing that solicitation for the first time, when they're downloading those documents and items, or before they're placing a bid. And so our buyer support team has a bunch of different use cases that different customers use for this. But some of it is if there's an NDA attached before you can download the documents, right? That you have to agree that you're going to, here's this NDA, you have to sign it and get it back to us before you can be approved to do this, or you have to do this or that. So there's different things that you may be able to use that for. Also, just for those of you who right now don't use all of these kind of, again, optional requirements here, I just want to point out that our suppliers can search by these things and use them in a filter. And so if there are people who are looking for not only obviously by NIGP codes and things and services that they offer, but also, okay, I need to make sure that there's certified, um, training or license, and I'm not competing against people who are unlicensed. So I have to be careful of that, anything like that. So people do utilize these general requirements in part of their filters. Um, This is the bonding piece. If you work in construction, you're a construction buyer, you probably are very familiar with this section. Just a reminder, these are kind of the defaults here, but you can always add another bond that's needed. And you can do this by a dollar amount or a percentage. We also just added e-bonding. So we've had that option for quite a while, but now we actually have an integration with Surety 2000. So if you do use and accept e-bonds, it's great. It's very useful and user friendly. You all know hopefully about pre-bidding events. There's all kinds of pre-bidding events that you can use. And if you don't have this, then please consider using this because as many pre-bidding events that you have, walkthroughs on sites, and you can put in this, suppliers will be notified of those. Just a quick thing about pre-bidding events. So let's just say you are having a walkthrough. Um, One of the things, if that walkthrough time or date gets changed, hopefully you all know, but the communication aspect is a great tool to send a communication if it's something that is just changing that time or that location of that walkthrough instead of sending out an addendum. Suppliers who are notified of that solicitation and who are following that solicitation will be notified via the communication as well. This is the bid submission, electronic bid submission. So I think I said in total in Michigan, under 60% were actually utilizing of the solicitations had electronic bid submission as an option. You can pick electronic physical or electronic or physical. Those are your three options there. Electronic really does mean it's going through the Bidnet Direct platform, right? So if you are accepting solicitation responses still via email, which again, not super secure, but that would be physical because then the supplier would look within your documents to see where to send that response to. Even though it's technically electronic, it's not secure with a lockbox electronic through the system and through the platform. So remember when you are, and if you decide to do electronic bid submission, that you can select your number of envelopes. So you can have just one, which means that everything, all documents and everything within the response is going to be in there. Or you can have a 2 envelope, which most people use to upload all of my documents and my response to one and then pricing in the second. And that is usually if you are going to do an evaluation before you get to pricing, and pricing is a later step there. All right. Now we get into a couple of what I consider really fun stuff, which are pre-attached documents. So this is going to make you as a manager or your legal team really happy. You can have pre-attached documents within all of your solicitations by type, right? So you can attach it to any solicitation. You can attach different documents to goods and services versus construction, any types of documents to an IFB versus an RFQ, etc. And this is really great for those documents that you have attached to everything, right? So you need this specific clause to be in there. You need this specific T's and C's, this code of conduct, all of these different things. This saves you and your buyers time from having to upload these every time. And it also really ensures that you're using the right version and the most up-to-date version of this. So this is, you can make it as an admin, give people the ability to take it off. So if, let's just say that this construction and code of conduct is good for 95% of your construction solicitations. But there's those 5% that are kind of wacky. So I'm going to allow people to delete that if they need to. So if you're not using this pre-attached documents, again, I think it's a time saver, and also just ensures that you have the right information up there at all times. In the same way, if you have the same type of information that you're always requesting from suppliers, right? You always need their W-9. You always need this information. You always need this document. Then you can have, again, a RFP bid structure by notice type and solicitation type of documents that suppliers will need to upload. And you can limit it to one file or unlimited files. And this way, it really allows you um, to ensure that suppliers understand and can upload the right, correct things in the right places, and also that you have everything structured on your end when you get those responses back. Courtesy email. If you are not currently using courtesy email, it's a great tool if you need some additional outreach. If you look at the matching suppliers and you can do a search on there for who's being matched and you don't see the incumbent, or some specific suppliers that you can plop them in here by email address. So this is really helpful if your department sends you, hey, here's these 6 suppliers that 100% I need to notify. Go ahead and plop them in there. Then they're going to get sent an email that is going to direct them to this solicitation itself as well. In addition, if you just need to expand outreach, let's just say cross boundaries, like it's a service oriented, or it's something that doesn't need to be local, and so you want to expand that outreach to beyond who's registered on to the MITN purchasing group, you can click on this new notify supplier here, and it's going to pop up and you're going to have access to our full vendor database on Bidnet Direct. So you can, again, look by NIGP code, look in surrounding states, look nationwide. You can look for surrounding states and those NIGP codes that just happen to be minority and women-owned businesses, right? If you can kind of get crazy with all your little filters of extra people that you notify about that solicitation. Also, vendor search. A lot of you probably know this exists, but you may not utilize it. It is a great way to go out to search for who's there. This is a little old, so this screenshot, sorry, is from probably back in April, or last February when I last did something like this for people. But you can go and you can look at this. You can see by registration date who's newly registered. You can look up by NIGP code, by quick quotes. If you just click on this little caret guy here, then it expands and you can see all the information about that supplier, like their contact information if you want to call them and get a quick quote for one of your departments, etc. Or you can click on the name itself and it takes you to that full vendor profile. So the vendor search is really a great tool to use as well. If you haven't ever used our bid tabulation, this is great by line items, right? So I don't know how many of you do RFP or an RFQ and accept line item responses. But if you do for those products and services, right? Like a lot of people use it for both products and the services that are attached to those products as well. It is fantastic. It automatically shows you the lowest bid. You can go by lowest price by line item. You can even group it as well, and do a multi-awardee. to different people, both for the same product, or you can split up and have different suppliers get different be awarded different products. So it's just a great on screen and then very easily exportable bid tabulation on the system as well. When you are issuing an award, there's lots of ways you can do it. If you don't see this, again, please give us a call because you're able to do it in a multitude of ways. You can either add a document, you can put the pricing right in there, you can select the supplier. You don't have to add all of that. You can just upload a PDF that says we awarded this, etc. So you can change out what information is there. You can also send a different email to different groups of people. So this is really, I think, you can either select to say, I want to send the same email to all bidders and followers, which means anyone who was originally notified of that solicitation, plus anyone who downloaded any documents who wasn't originally notified, plus anyone who bid who wasn't originally notified. All of those people are going to get this award. Or you can select to change it up and say, I want this message going out to just my awardee, right? Like a congratulations, and here's the copy of the award document, and here's the link. A regrets email to a certain group of people. So maybe you want to publish that live, but you only want to notify those who actually bid on it, or you only want to notify those document down those people, plan holders who downloaded those documents. So you can do that as well. So it's a great little tool to use. Again, it's a configuration. So if you don't see this and you don't see where you can update and add to that email, let us know and we can make that change for you. One other quick thing, I know I said we are going to be making a big change this upcoming year on our reporting, and we will. However, we do have some reports now that you may not have access to. So this is kind of phase one of that. But you can, it's called the BI, like an enhanced solicitation report. And you can kind of pick and choose what information you need and define those filters for that report. And then you can run that just as a one-time report, either in Excel or it can be an active HTML online report that then you can click into that data. So you can either run it one time or you can save it. And when you save it, there will be a prompt to ask you how often do you want this run? Do you want it weekly, monthly, etc.? And you can check that recurrence, and then you can actually email it out to people as well, yourself or others. Okay, a lot of talking. I'm so sorry, and I know we only have a few minutes left, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to take up the whole time, and unfortunately I have. So all of that stuff we just went through is stuff that today you have access to. Pick up the phone, call us. If you want to see what else we do offer in our complete source to contract solution, everything from our requester intake through contract management and beyond, give Lauren a call, reach out to her, or contact our support team and ask them, and they can get you in contact with Lauren. But Lauren be happy to walk you through that. And that's it. All right. Any questions? Oh, all right. Quiet group, but thank you. Lauren, anything to add?
No, just wanted to piggyback off of Kim and say thank you. And similarly to what she mentioned, again, I know just because, of course, it's the day you want to use it, it for some reason
I
just
know.
decides to be funny. But if anyone is interested after seeing that, hey, you know what, would love to work through a formal demo. Like Kim mentioned, we'll get you over all of our contact information. Feel free to call me, text me, email me. Happy to walk through that process with you of getting that explained or set up with the solutions engineer. And again, always like to mention, Kim and I are here to be resources to you all. We really appreciate our partnership through MITN. So anything that we can do to help your lives be easier and help empower the municipalities that you work for, we are more than happy to do so.
Great. Thank you. Well, thank you all so much again. Appreciate it. I'll send this deck as a PDF saved along with the recording, and appreciate you all being here. Have a wonderful week. And for those of you that may be coming to SOVRA Summit, we hope to see you there. I look forward to chatting with you more about what's coming up, eating lunch with you, and maybe having a cocktail or two. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weeks. Bye.
Thank you guys. Stay warm.